Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully this is going to be a video that we can set back and post on YouTube. I have for the past month been having an extreme amount of difficulty downloading from my GoPro chip down to my computer. I've been losing parts of, not all of, but parts of each video that I've done, and I've done 6 videos that I have absolutely no way of editing them out and installing them. 2 of them on my Tata, 2 of them on the property here, and 2 on this CT125. Just so happens I flipped over 30,000 or 3,000 kilometers here last week, and I have found out that if you don't put gasoline in these, they will eventually run out of gas. Okay, so if you've got the big bore kit, aftermarket exhaust, and a free-flowing air filter, you can expect to get about 245 kilometers out of it before it goes and stops. So in case yours start going, you better have a gas station within sight, or you're gonna be pushing. You may be pushing it anyhow. But I don't know. My wife said it was old age for not looking down at the little bars on the odometer that showed how much gas was left in the bike. But it's a real good chance that it's the old age that crept up on me. But it's been a long time. I mean, a really long time since I ran out of gas on any motorcycle. But it will happen on these if you're not careful. So anyhow, what today's video is going to be about is simply 3,000 kilometer evaluation on the bike. I'm going to be brutal. I'm going to tell it like it is. If you guys want to leave comments on there chastising what I'm saying and contradicting, that's fine. Go ahead. I'll answer every video or every comment on this video. It's an important one to get out to the people. Yeah, folks, before I get really carried off about the evaluation of this bike, I want to let you know something that I've been experimenting with this month, because I was able to acquire a part that I've been wanting to put on for several months. I just couldn't find the part, and what the part was a rear sprocket that is 42 teeth. That's that brings the 1-to-3 ratio on your gearing that the 1339 has. So if the 1442, you end up with the same gear ratio. So instead of dropping the countershaft sprocket, which for some reason on my bike it really messed with the odometer and my ABS brake. So I've had this on for a little over a week now, and I haven't had the ABS light start flashing on me at all since I put it on. But it gives you that snap down low, and you still get decent, really decent pavement speeds. Now granted, you're not going to be able to go out there and run 65 miles an hour with this thing, because it won't do that to begin with in stock form. But with this setup, it's going to give you the snap, and you're going to be able to pull in and off of county roads and country roads real easy and get up to speed. So anyhow, folks, now we'll get back to the real video. So talk to y'all later. Now we're going to get to the bike itself. First off, you got to know, I really like this bike. Okay, it's a lot of fun to ride, and in the stock form, there's probably not a more fun bike to ride in town and on paved roads in your countryside around your city. There's probably not a more fun bike to ride than this bike right here. The tires handle really good on that kind of terrain. The engine seems to purr really nice through that kind of terrain. The bike handles really good. The suspension is adequate for that type of terrain. But they didn't name this bike city commute. They called it the Honda CT 125 Trail or the Honda CT 125 Cub. Now, neither one of those monikers for the name of the bike means that you're not supposed to take it off-road. It's more or less an advertisement for you to take this bike and take it off-road, and that's where its shortcomings come in. We're going to start up here with the top of the bike. The headlight on this thing is inadequate at best. Even on bright, you can't see very far out in front of you, so more than likely, if you're going to be doing any nighttime riding, you're going to probably want to put a set of lights on it, aftermarket lights, to compensate for what this little LED headlight does for it, which is not much. I have no problem with the odometer on this. I know there's a bunch of guys that have been putting the op-mid on there, and it's really nice. It's actually pretty good, but I don't really need that on here. The seat on this is adequate. It's not really soft, but it's not really hard either. It's a little short, even for me, and I'm 5'8". My butt kind of hangs off the back of it a little bit. I know there's a lot of people that want to extend things out on the back part of it. So yeah, it's a little short. The handlebars seem to set pretty good with me. Like I said, I'm 5'8", so it's not bad. But I will not put a riser on here, and I will not reverse the triple clamps on here. So I'm going to leave mine the way it is. I'm happy with the ergonomics on all the controls on the bike. The mirrors are fine. If you tighten them down really good to begin with, they're fine. I would definitely agree with putting racks on the front of the bike, a rack on the center of the bike. This one's great for the bag. I don't know if Honda makes it or if it's an organization that makes them for the Honda CT 125 and the Honda Cub, but they make a bag that fits right in that little area right in here, like this. And I use it to carry my camera equipment, and it's really nice. I like that part of it. Now we're going to get down to the 3 things that this bike really lacks. 3 things that this bike could have been improved on from Honda, which could have made this bike a really good bike. First off, it's like there are 6 different CRF 450 models currently out by Honda. There are 4 CRF 250 models currently out by Honda. There's 1 CT model currently out by Honda. Why couldn't they have made at least 2? Okay, they could have made the one that they put out right now, and they could have charged exactly what they're charging for it. And it could have been, instead of saying CT 125 Trail, it could have been CT 125 City Commute or something like that, or Commute or something, you know, something that doesn't designate going off-road with it, because the bike is really good for just that. It's fun to ride. It handles good. Everything is good for that, and well worth the money. However, if you're going to take this thing off-road, here's the 3 things that this bike lacks. First off, the suspension on this bike is very inadequate for off-road. It has absolutely no adjustment whatsoever on the front forks. None. Has absolutely no adjustment whatsoever on the rear shocks. None. You can't even adjust the spring rate on the rear shocks. And they've been able to do that on bikes since the early 70s. But anyhow, I ended up having to put the YSS front fork kit on it to give me adjustments. And it's made a big difference on the way this bike handles off-road. And it's not that expensive of an addition, but it does make a big difference. And then, of course, I went with the Diablo rear shocks, which gives me full adjustment on the shocks. And that made all the difference in the world. It even made it to where it's a lot smoother on pavement. It's really, really nice. Then the next step, okay, this may not be so critical as the suspension and the third step that I'm going to do, but tires, folks, tires. If they're going to call this thing a trail, why in the heck did they put a 70/30 street tire on there? Why didn't they put a 70/30, which is what these are, trail tire? Like I said, it's all in the name and branding of them. And these tires work great. They work really, really good. It helps the handling on the bike considerably. Now, the third and the biggest problem with this bike is this little thing right here. Yeah, folks, the engine is very inadequate for this bike. 125 cc's, and I've had a lot of small bore machines. I even raced 175 and 200 cc 4-stroke engine motorcycles, and it just so happens all three of them were Hondas. Okay, so it's not that they can't build something that can go fast and carry you through really, really rough terrain, because I raced a 1981 and a 1982 Honda XR 200R in an enduro circuit in Colorado. Okay, and you're not going to find any more tough terrain than that kind of riding. They could have done something with this bike that would have alleviated all of that. First off, 125 cc and 8 horsepower, it just is not cutting it. This bike is so heavy that with that stock engine, for you to get that front tire off the ground, you have to hit some kind of a bump and be way on the back of the bike and just nail the throttle, or basically you're not going to get that front tire off the ground. So the bike is really heavy. That's another thing that I have against this bike, is it's really heavy, too heavy. But anyhow, if they'd have taken this bike and instead of, they could have made a CT 175 with a 5-speed transmission, without the automatic clutch, with a manual clutch on it, and they could have solved all of these problems that I've talked about with just those mods on this bike. So folks, hit me with your comments, chastise me if you want, agree with me if you want, but I can tell you right now, I love my bike, but I've done a lot to it to get it to where I wanted it and where I needed it to be able to sit back and ride the mountain passes and mountain roads and the off-trail stuff here in Thailand. So folks, hope you enjoyed this video, and until I can get another one out, I'll talk to y'all later.